But I know that this is just the beginning for a lot of other things that are going to come my way. I'm really happy with the outcome of being a finalist, being able to share my gift, because that's something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Being able to share my story with people, which is really important to me as well. Not being afraid of taking those risks and being courageous and putting yourself out there. And even if you fall, you come back again and you fight again. And that has stayed with me. I just can't wait to release more music and perform more, just explore my journey, ride the wave of what's to come with music, because I think that this is something that I'm going to do for a long time. I've just had the honor of sharing that with thousands of people, and that's a huge thing that not a lot of people, get to experience. So I'm very fortunate.
I'm Peter McCully. BC's Raymond Salgado recently made it to the finals of Canada's Got Talent. Raymond talks about the competition, his music, and his journey on this edition of Today in BC. Thanks for making time for us today, Raymond.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Your dance card must be pretty full since you returned from competing on television.
Yeah, it's been crazy. There's just been so much overwhelming emotions just because this is something that I've always dreamt of doing as a child. Once I got the opportunity to participate this year, it really wasn't something that I was expecting. A lot of the memories, a lot of the opportunities coming my way, this whole experience has been very validating to me.
Raymond, you grew up on Vancouver Island and your parents emigrated to Canada before you were born from the Philippines. And you were quoted as saying in a news story about the show that you felt like you were representing Vancouver Island,
yes,
British Columbians, the Filipino community, and the LGBTQ+.
Those are very important communities that are a part of me, especially being Filipino. Both my parents immigrated to Canada. My mom met my dad in Nanaimo, and I really wanted to share that, especially with my story. A lot of the time when I was in school, in a lot of public places, there wasn't a lot of Filipino representation, especially as a child, and still trying to figure out my sexuality too. There was a lot of trying to figure out where I fit in and feeling that I had to camouflage myself a lot of the time. It was quite difficult growing up, and I think that it's important to share these stories, especially when it comes to the music side of things. Music is so vital in a lot of people's lives and have changed people's lives. I think that it's really important to share these stories.
So the music is a way to express yourself?
Yes.
How did you discover music, and how does it make you feel to perform?
My mom actually put me into a talent show when I was 11 years old. At the time, I was still trying to figure out my passions. My mom put me in many sports. That didn't really click with me. I ended up taking piano lessons first, and that was the first ever musical instrument that I learned. But then music and singing in the household, it's always been influenced around me, and it's a huge part of my culture. When I was 11, I did this talent show locally. I really wasn't experienced at the time. I had the ability of staying in pitch, but there was so much to singing that I didn't know. Thankfully, that was like the starting period of my singing journey, because I ended up winning the kids category at the time. And my former teacher, Andrew Bertram, of over a decade, she was a judge on the panel. I ended up working with her on my voice. I just remember having this conversation. I don't know if it was at 11 or 12, but she was telling me that you have a gift, and that if you continue working towards your voice, that you can make it one day. And I think as a child, that meant so much to me, because I was still trying to figure out what my worth is and what my purpose was in the world. So hearing those words of encouragement of that you have a gift meant so much, because I just felt worthless a lot of the time. And so music became a catalyst and became a voice for me that I was seeking for, in terms of being able to express myself, but also to understand and know my worth as a person.
Are there any particular genres or styles of music that you feel most comfortable performing? You took on some pretty big songs there. You were singing Heaven by Bryan Adams and Feeling Good by Michael Bublé.
Most of the time, I usually love singing ballads. I think there's always been like an emotional connection to singing songs that resonate with me. Being on this show, I really wanted to challenge myself. And so the first song that I sang was Heaven by Bryan Adams, and it's a ballad. I wanted to pay tribute to an incredible Canadian artist that was influenced in the household quite a bit. And then also pay tribute to Michael Bublé too, but also paying homage to Nina Simone, who's the original. I was always told growing up that if you challenge yourself to do things that you're uncomfortable doing, that you'll end up growing in your craft. You know, when I was going into the process of figuring out songs, I wanted to show people that I wasn't like a one-trick pony, that I could sing any type of song in the occasion. Especially for this type of competition, you need to bring it up a notch each time you go through each round. I think it's also fun to explore and highlight different sides of yourself as an artist, and not particularly just one thing, but other parts and other layers.
Don't want to get pigeonholed. What made you decide to audition for Canada's Got Talent specifically?
It's interesting because at the time, I just came off of auditioning for American Idol, and that didn't really go my way at the time. I think that was a huge turning point for me because I realized it's not that I wasn't vocally ready, it was just not the right time in that moment. When I got an email from a casting producer about the show and that they were accepting submissions for season 2, I was wary about it just because there's so much behind the scenes that goes on with the process of reality TV. I was just, what if it's the same situation again? Like what I've done with American Idol or like the launch years ago. I don't know. I just had this feeling that this may be a good thing for me. I do believe that things happen for a reason. Like good things are supposed to happen at the right time. I really wanted to try again and do it for myself. Though the rejection of American Idol did really affect me, I think that it prepared me for this experience. When I was on American Idol and when I was auditioning for the show, there was a lot of moving parts that I wasn't prepared for. Vocally, I was prepared, but in terms of how much that was going into the experience mentally, I don't think I was prepared for that. But then going into Canada's Got Talent and knowing how hectic it was going to be, I was a lot less anxious and I was more aware of what I was walking into. And so that's why I feel where I'm at and how far I made it, I did really well for what it is. Being a finalist, making it out of 6,000 people who auditioned this year, and only 24 acts were musicians this year that got to audition. That's crazy in itself. And also the fact that I was the only person in British Columbia that made it as a finalist. So I thought that was huge.
Can you share your experience during the audition process? You mentioned that they contacted you. And so how does it work? And were you nervous when you get up there in front of the judges?
Yeah, there was so much at stake because I actually lost my voice in the beginning of 2022. When I submitted to the Canada's Got Talent website, I didn't have a voice yet at the time, so I just sent old videos. At the time, I was still conditioning my voice. I was seeing my teacher, Alida Enrico, who was helping me achieve my voice back because I had this very long, lingering cough. And then I also got COVID that time, and that really messed up my voice for quite some time. There was a lot at stake just because confidence-wise with auditioning for another TV show, that didn't work out. So there was that in my mind. And then also, I'm singing in front of 6,000 people in this theater, and my voice is not 100% right now. But I think like in those given situations, we must continue. When I finally agreed though, because I was really skeptical with auditioning, I had to talk to my teachers, my peers, my friends about auditioning for the show. It took some time for me to make a decision. And then when I finally said yes, it was all just prep and resting and vocalizing and taking care of my body. A lot of us singers and artists are almost like athletes, so we have to make sure that we're being healthy mentally and physically. So there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Once going onto the stage, it was a blur because everything just happens so fast. There's so much banter with the judges, and there's so many people looking at you. It was nice to know that I had family with me, like my aunt and uncle. A couple of my cousins were at that audition, and I had my manager, Surreal Matt Dene, with me too, and that really helped me prepare. I also met up with a famous vocal coach, Cheryl Porter, who's really huge on TikTok and on YouTube. She's accumulated a following, and I met her before my audition, and she helped me confidence-wise with just connecting on the stage, my presence, and just making sure that I'm inspiring and impacting people with my voice. So I had a lot of people on my side, but definitely the whole experience of auditioning was nerve-wracking. Also, the fact that I only had a 20 to 30-second mic sound check, so it wasn't even a full run through of the song. They're like, okay, we're running behind schedule. We only have 20 to 30 seconds to do this. And then everything is relied on you. You just have to go in and just do the best that you can. And that's what I did. And thankfully, the judges saw my perseverance, and the crowd really responded well to my story and my performance. And I'm really proud of that.
We all know that social media can be a very negative form at times. And scanning your Facebook page, I saw a tremendous amount of feedback from your followers who are wishing you well as you competed. How did the feedback from the audience influence your performance?
I think each performance, I grew each time vocally. I really do appreciate everyone who took the time to watch the show for me this year, but also vote for me. The people who voted for me into the finale especially, and even just for watching the finale in general. There were so many people that voted for me this year and took the time that didn't know that I lived on the island or didn't know me at all, and now they know of me. And I think that was cool seeing a lot of communities take the time to support a local talent, especially within the Filipino community and the LGBTQ+. As much as this show is nationwide, there's been a lot of support in the Philippines. My mom's and dad's place where they live, they've been supporting me in my journey, and that has been such a huge compliment, and it's so validating, especially coming from the Filipino community, being able to celebrate music and the arts, and that's such a prominent thing over in the Philippines, so that was amazing as well. And then just people all over the world who's been supporting me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. They have been giving me all just so much love. I remember posting about it, and people were like, I've been waiting for you to join a TV show, and now that you're doing it, I'm really happy for you. And I've been trying for a long time. I want to say almost a decade, just applying for TV shows, and a lot of the time it didn't go my way until this year. So I'm just really happy that I took the risk this year. My outlook now is just going into things without expectations and just going there for the experience, because the whole experience has just been a win, and that alone is worth more than winning a title. This whole experience has been an accomplishment, but also has been such a growing period for me in my confidence and my self-love and my talent. It's been amazing.
When Today in BC continues, Raymond Salgado talks about the road in the music industry that lies ahead and what's going on in Nanaimo.
Hey, it's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic. Join me on the Moj on Sports podcast on Black Press Media at todayinbc.com. Listen into conversations with well-known athletes and celebrities as we look behind the scenes at these successful people. Listen in to the Moj on Sports podcast on todayinbc.com. You'll also find the Moj on Sports podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, YouTube, and Google Podcasts, as well as mojonsports.com.
Why spend hours searching dealerships, comparing makes and models? Find the best of BC's inventory in one place, todaysdrive.com. You'll have access to inventory across BC, where you can easily find a vehicle that fits your needs and gets you where you need to go in comfort. Get in the driver's seat. Don't miss out on the many options we have available for you. Powered by Black Press Media, todaysdrive.com connects you with exclusive new and used car deals.
I'm Peter McCully. Today in BC is a Black Press Media podcast. Raymond, you've been singing since you were 11 years old, and you performed with Lauren Spencer Smith. Also from the same area from you, Cameron Whitcomb, who got to the top 10 of American Idol last year. Jackson Fryer and Carlo Rush of Funkonometry recently competed on America's Got Talent. They made it to the semifinal. What's going on in Nanaimo?
I know, it's insane. It's just crazy. There's so much talent in Nanaimo, and it's really cool to see people just being able to share their gifts with our community and being able to share that on a world platform. There's just so much talent. I'm not surprised, but I'm also just so happy that we've been able to represent well with music and with the arts. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm really happy for Funkonometry, Lauren Spencer Smith, and Cameron Whitcomb, honestly. We've done well. So
you could take this on the road together.
Yeah, exactly. A tour or something. No, that would be so much fun.
And you've been trying to get together to do some recording with Lauren in the past.
I've been in contact with her ever since I met her like years ago, before she uploaded that really famous video that basically started her career. And then she did American Idol, and now she's a bona fide singer-songwriter, and she's doing so well for herself. So like, we do keep up from time to time, and I'm wishing her all the best, and I'm really proud of her, genuinely.
How's your life changed since being on Canada's Got Talent show? I know it's only been a short time, but any notable experiences or opportunities that have come your way? Did they bump you up to first class on the way home?
Actually, like for the hotels, because we were like in Niagara Falls filming for the show, the first hotel that I was in was at the Marriott, and it was on the falls, and you got the falls view, and it was like so gorgeous. And then for finale, we stayed at the Sheraton, and we were literally like on the strip of Niagara, and that was so gorgeous as well. It was crowded with people, but it was such a cool experience being there in Niagara Falls.
One of the few places in Canada that I'd like to see that I haven't.
Yes, you must go.
Yes. Perhaps you could share with us a memorable moment from your time on the show, whether it's behind the cameras or in front of the camera.
Oh, this finale performance was probably the most memorable, because when I was singing the song Lay Me Down by Sam Smith, I was thinking about a cousin who passed away. We lost him maybe 3 years ago. So the song has a very emotional connection, and I've lost a lot of loved ones in the last few years, so I wanted to pay tribute to them and to my cousin. The song itself was very emotional for me, especially when I was on stage for the rehearsal the day before. I got to see their setup, and there was like 600 candles on that stage. I just ended up tearing up and just being so overwhelmed, just because it was so beautiful to look at. I know that my cousin, if he was here right now, he'd be really proud of me. So I wanted to do that in honor of him. One thing that a lot of people don't talk about is the team of people behind the scenes. And if anything, I had the best time being surrounded by a lot of the competitors, a lot of the producers. The team just treated us so well, and they were so organized, so diligent. They really cared about making sure the contestants were comfortable and they were fully represented, and that they presented the best performance possible. So I really pay homage to the team members in Canada's Got Talent, a lot of the producers, wardrobe, just everyone was helpful, so nice, so supportive of one another. I really miss it already. Being on the island, there's only like a small select group of us when it comes to music. And so when I was surrounded by a lot of these other artists, you know, dance groups, singers, a magician, there was so much diversity. I thought that was such a beautiful thing, being able to support each other, being able to make these lifelong friendships and connections. The whole experience has just changed so much for me in terms of my confidence. But I know that this is just the beginning for a lot of other things that are going to come my way. I'm really happy with the outcome of being a finalist, being able to share my gift with Canada, because that's something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Being able to share my story with people, which is really important to me as well. Not being afraid of taking those risks and being courageous and putting yourself out there. And even if you fall, you come back again and you fight again. And that's now has stayed with me. And I just can't wait to release more music and perform more and just explore my journey and just ride the wave of what's to come with music, because I think that this is something that I'm going to do for a long time. I've just had the honor of sharing that, with thousands of people, and that's a huge thing that not a lot of people, get to experience. So I'm very fortunate.
When you sang Feeling Good, it launched you into the finals. As you mentioned, that's originally a Nina Simone song.
Yeah.
And made famous the world over many times by another British Columbian, of course, Michael Bublé.
Yes.
Why did you choose that song?
Well, it was interesting because going into the process of figuring out songs, I had the decision whether I wanted to do another ballad or to do Feeling Good. The other option was All I Ask by Adele. I've always capitalized on the fact that I am a ballad singer first and foremost, and that's not an insult at all. That's just my strong suit. But for these competitions, I really wanted to step it up. And I remember Cardinal Official being like, this is just your first performance, so I expect for the next performance to be just as good, if not better. So I was like, okay, this performance has to be, so much better than my audition. So I really wanted to challenge myself vocally and also explore another side of me that I don't usually show to people. I was wearing sequins, which I don't usually wear anything extravagant like that. And when we were going through wardrobe, I was saying like, I want to wear something almost like Elton John-esque, or if Michael Jackson years ago. So I wanted to wear something and just look like a star, and also just insinuate that I feel good to be at this position right now as a semi-finalist when I was preparing for that. With my background, I was a classically trained singer, so I did a lot of opera, I did musical theater, but I was always influenced with pop contemporary music. So I was like, I need to show the judges that I'm not just a one-trick pony. And that's why I chose Feeling Good. And also, it's such a good song. I think that I also got to explore like a sensual side of me too, and a fun side of me that I don't usually show a lot because I'm usually so invested in the ballads. I think that performance probably has to be my favorite. Especially what I was wearing too, because you can never go wrong with sparkles.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. The freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
So, Raymond, what are your long-term goals in the music industry?
Right now, I am planning on doing a few performances on the island in the next few months. I definitely want to perform more for people. I definitely want to write more and release more things in the studio. I'm just going to keep going with music. I had the question of whether or not I would want to do another TV competition, but I don't think for a while I'll be doing that. I think I'm really just going to focus on my art and taking time to build on performing. But who knows, maybe I'll go into acting and other things too. I'm also planning to go back to school to pursue being an HCA and then maybe going into music therapy because I've been really inspired by my parents. My mom is working palliative as a nurse, and my dad used to work as an HCA as well in the nursing home with my mom. And I've always been really inspired by the Filipino community. We're always based on helping others out. And so I've definitely wanted to pursue a career that impacts people and helps people. And I think that music therapy would be really fitting for me. But I always know that I'm going to have music with me and I'm always going to be creating music. Those are the plans right now, is just really creating, performing, and seeing what happens.
I'd like to thank Raymond Salgado for being with us on this edition of Today in BC. If you have suggestions or comments, send a voice message to podcast@blackpress.ca. You may be part of our podcast mailbag segment. You'll find Today in BC podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, and Google Podcasts.